Hello everyone, and welcome to today's opportunity briefing for Flexera's flagship products, AdminStudio. My name is Don Grease. I am the Manager of Business Development and Vendor Programs here at Lifeboat Distribution, and we are a proud distributor of Flexera's innovative line of software. It is a privilege for Lifeboat, as always, to host today's presentation with Flexera, and I want to thank you for attending. Today's presentation will address how you can help your customers simplify application migration to Windows 7 and application virtualization for Microsoft AppV, VMware, ThinApp, and Citrix XenApp. We are confident you will see today how you can formulate a smart approach to application migration for your customers that will reduce cost and complexity for them while creating opportunity and growing profits for your business. I know your time is valuable, so let me get right to the introductions to our main panelists. Joining me on the panel today from Flexera is Cindy Tackett, and Cindy is the Director of Sales Engineering. So thank you, Cindy, for your participation and welcome. And before I turn the presentation over to Cindy, I just want everyone to know that we do encourage you to ask questions, and you may do that by entering your questions into the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of the screen. At the conclusion of the presentation, we will answer as many questions as time permits. With that, I will now turn over the presentation to Cindy.
Very good. Thank you, Don. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Cindy, and I'm just getting onto your deck. There you go. You're all set.
All right. Fantastic. I can't see the deck yet. Is it up in the...
Let's see here. That was my deck, and that should be yours. Whoops. Let's go over one more. Do you have it now, Cindy?
I do.
There you go. Okay.
Very good. So just as an introduction, Flexera software, we are the makers of InstallShield, which is our most famous name brand. So if you've ever installed anything on your computer and hit the next button, then we create the technology that a lot of software publishers use to package their applications, both in Windows with our InstallShield line of solutions, as well as the Unix Linux environment with our Install Anywhere solution. We also make a solution that we're going to discuss today called AdminStudio, which enables organizations to package their applications, and we'll go in depth on that. As well as we have a product called FlexNet Manager Suite that enables organizations to optimize their licenses. So it determines whether companies are overbuying or underbuying licenses within their estate and helps them save costs in licensing. And then Workflow Manager, which ties all of this together and enables organizations to have an end-to-end process from the time a user requests a piece of software within the organization until it's eventually retired. So Flexera is based out of Schaumburg, Illinois, near Chicago. We also have large regional offices in California, APAC, and EMEA. Right now we're over 500 employees strong and growing at a very fast rate within the industry. Can you see my slide transition there, Don?
Everything, Cindy, looks good.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure. So what is AdminStudio? We're here today to talk about AdminStudio and what's new in our solution set, but I want you to understand what you already know. AdminStudio is an application repackaging solution that provides IT departments with an easy way to prepare reliable packages, both MSI and virtual packages, for conflict-free deployments within their enterprise. It also eliminates what's commonly known in the industry as DLL hell, so that IT folks can make sure that the applications that they're deploying in their environment talk well with each other and play in the sandbox. So first, a little bit about the market trends. So what's happening in the industry, and if you start thinking about your customer base and what they are going through and the challenges they're seeing in their IT environment. They're actually facing some huge obstacles and a lot of non-optional directives. So if you can help them solve some of these, you will be a rock star as a reseller and help them with their initiatives with a holistic solutions. So the market trends that are driving the need for application management include Windows migration. So most organizations actually skipped Vista, and now they're on aggressive timelines because XP support is being dropped. They're on aggressive timelines to move to Windows 7. So this creates a requirement not only to migrate the base operating system, but also the applications that ride on that operating system and run their business. So it's not just the operating system, though, that's migrating. If you think about an operating system change, Internet Explorer is also changing, so all of the applications that run in Internet Explorer must also be migrated and tested. In addition to the OS, the computing platform is also moving to Windows 64-bit at a very fast pace, which affects how applications run. Then, in addition, the entire delivery structure is now impacted with the release of SCCM 2012. So as your customers move to SCCM 2012, the applications must also be migrated to support a new user delivery model that is present in 2012. So it focuses more on applications being deployed to the user as opposed to the old applications being deployed to a device mentality. So in addition to all of this, your customers are also rethinking how they deliver applications. So with the advent of application virtualization, which basically enables applications to be isolated from the underlying operating system and then streamed to the user, virtualization is also required to move to VDI, or Virtual Desktop Infrastructure, which is a big focus out of Microsoft. Their big initiative is to move to a VDI enablement structure for their customers. Then there's the cloud. So organizations are all looking at their cloud strategy and trying to determine which applications they should move to the cloud and whether they should move to the public and private cloud and all of the things that go along with that. But in addition to picking out which applications are going to move to the cloud, they also have to virtualize them with server application virtualization, or what's called server AppV. So determining which applications move is not only to the cloud, is not only a business decision, but the applications themselves must be suitable for virtualization. And so the whole testing of the applications to move to the cloud is a big part of the strategy. So all of these changes in how applications are delivered to the organization is driving IT to be more nimble. So applications need to be suitable for the traditional MSI or Windows format, for virtual format, and for cloud delivery. So specifically, some of the business challenges around application readiness are that new software is being purchased every single day, and existing applications are constantly being updated or upgraded. So in addition to keeping the lights on with new software that comes into the organization and the need to deploy it out to customers in the desired format, most companies are managing several migration projects, each of which require manual efforts if they don't have automated tools. So Windows 7, of course, is a huge project for companies, and there's lots of budget dollars and high levels of visibility associated with the transformation. But the risk of moving the underlying platform is enormous. So as an IT manager, can you imagine what would happen if the applications that run the business no longer work once Windows 7 is rolled out? So if my email doesn't work or my point of sale system or our SAP system no longer works, that would be a huge disruption to our business continuity. And in today's environment, business users simply expect that the applications that they were using on XP will still work on Windows 7 the next day or the Monday after their machine is migrated. There's also new environments that must be supported, such as Windows 64-bit, application virtualization, and VDI, and this requires organizations to package the same application in multiple formats to support the landscape. So whereas I used to just deploy Visio in MSI format or Windows format, now I need to deploy Visio through application virtualization to a VDI infrastructure and to my traditional desktop and laptops. And then the cloud is driving more organizations to package server software. So in the past, there was less emphasis on packaging in the data center, as most administrators just got an installer and installed it manually. But the elastic nature of the cloud and the way that servers are brought up and down very quickly in the cloud requires that applications should be laid down with no human interaction, which of course requires a packaging methodology. In addition, organizations are continually buying new applications, so they need to have this business as usual process for moving applications into the hands of their business users fairly quickly. So all of this means that companies really need a good foundation to standardize their environment with a best practice application installation approach, including automated testing and automated remediation of any issues to move to these new environments. So again, just to recap the challenges, as resellers, you can certainly be the hero if you can help with these ongoing migration efforts. And companies in general are removing themselves from a focus on the desktop and moving more towards an access from anywhere or access from any smart device, which is changing the way that they're thinking about application delivery. In addition, software publishers are really forcing the adaptation of new technology faster. So some applications now in the marketplace are only available in certain formats, and so it's not a question of if your customers are going to move to AppV or VDI, it's really a question of when they're going to do that. Same thing, of course, with Windows 7. So IT, they really don't have the luxury anymore of planning, you know, a big internal project to get an application into another format. This is being forced on them. So employees need to, or IT needs to be able to respond fairly quickly to all of the changes within their environment. So then comes in Flexera's Application Readiness solution to meet these business challenges. Our base application is called AdminStudio, and well, actually our solution consists of the base AdminStudio product, which enables organizations to package, test, and report on applications. And that comes in several flavors, including standard, professional, and enterprise, which gives the ability to have more capabilities, of course, as you go up the scale from standard to enterprise. And then the Virtualization Pack includes the ability to test and remediate applications for AppV, for server AppV, for XenApp, FinApp, and other virtualization technologies. For example, we're also adding compatibility with Symantec's workspace virtualization technology later this year as part of our Symantec WISE migration landing. So as WISE nears its end of life as a packaging solution, the Symantec community has a soft landing with our migration path in partnership with Symantec. And then the Application Compatibility Pack enables organizations to test and remediate for Windows 7 for Internet Explorer 8 and 9, Windows 64-bit, Windows Server 2008, and to quickly move to new platforms. And then finally, Workflow Manager puts a best practice workflow and process in place that helps companies migrate thousands of applications through this process and report on SLAs. And we'll discuss each of these components over the next few slides. So the process for application readiness is a best practice process that we've developed with our customers, and it includes determining what applications exist in the organization first. So in order to move users from XP to Windows 7 or Windows 8, you first have to know which applications are being used and which applications need to be put back on their machines after the migration, and whether those applications are compatible for the new operating system. In a lot of companies, this is actually a really big hurdle in migrating to Windows 7 because they don't really understand what all's out there. So we can actually go in and as a service, provide a list or a clean list of applications that exist in the environment. And then once they understand what applications are out there, they can figure out if they can get rid of any of them to simplify their portfolio and minimize the amount of work required to migrate. So for example, if I have 10 different versions of Adobe Acrobat, can we standardize on one version, make sure it's compatible, and then at the same time clean up the environment and reduce the ongoing support costs, because now I'm starting off with less applications or less versions and various application levels within the community. Or for example, if we have 30 different text editors, can we leverage our buying power by standardizing on just one product and going through this rationalization process, which ultimately helps me to have a more coherent approach moving forward. So the next step is to assess compatibility. So once I know what all's out there and I've gotten my list of everything that we're going to move forward to my new platform, whether it be a new operating system or a new virtual platform, then the applications must be assessed for compatibility. So without a solution like AdminStudio, this process is extraordinarily labor-intensive and error-prone. So, for example, even the help file formats change from XP to Windows 7. And business users just expect that when they press the help button within their applications, again, that it will just work. So all of these tests can be performed automatically. And with Flexera, applications are tested over 30,000 or so rules that are in our rule set, and then most importantly, automatically remediated, which reduces the amount of time and effort required to move to new platforms. So, which is the fix and package phase of this. And then finally, the applications are ready for deployment. So if you think about the hundreds of applications that exist in most companies, to go through this process manually or on a per application basis typically takes around a day plus per application, depending on what the application is. And if they're doing this manual process of fixing and remediating, there's pretty significant risk in a manual process that something will be missed or a feature won't be tested. And with AdminStudio, we can literally test, fix, remediate hundreds of applications a day, which gives companies the leverage to move to any platform, but specifically in these times Windows 7, much faster and with much less risk. So the base AdminStudio solution is our packaging solution. if you think about why an organization would want to package or repackage an application, I mentioned that Flexera creates Install Shield, which most of you have probably used at some point in the past. But when applications are installed directly from the vendor, most applications ask the end user lots of questions. So where do you want this application to be installed? What features should be installed? What is your license key for this installation? And so instead of taking end users through that process, enterprises typically want to remove this complexity and make the whole installation process transparent to their end user community and simply deliver the application in the background through a software distribution solution like SCCM. But this requires the application to have been formatted and packaged in a way that the software distribution tool can deliver it. So this packaging process is what AdminStudio accomplishes. It enables the organization to keep a catalog of all of the applications that can be deployed. They can then automatically package it in the standard Windows format and customize the application so that all of those questions that are required are automatically answered. And when you install or when the application is installed, standard features are installed. And then it also finds conflicts between applications. So what if the application uses a common file and that file is later updated? It might actually break the second application. So conflict resolution is extremely important to make sure that applications play well together. Then once the application is packaged, it must be tested and then passed to the software distribution tool for the delivery. So AdminStudio automates this whole process and creates more robust applications. In turn, companies see their help desk costs decrease because they have a standardized estate so that one business user who has Visio installed, that installation looks just like another user's Visio installation. And that standardization creates a manageable environment for the enterprise because there aren't rogue application installations. Everything's predictable and controlled. Then the Application Compatibility Pack is an essential tool as organizations implement Windows 7 or Windows 8. So these types of changes put an enormous amount of pressure on IT. Their entire enterprise platform is changing. So there's lots of risk for them. And if you think about the work that this takes, the whole project would be deemed a failure if one of their primary business applications did not work under the new operating system. And organizations have hundreds of applications, so there's a lot of testing that must go on. So fortunately, this process can be almost entirely automated with our Application Compatibility Pack. Windows 7 has fairly clearly defined changes that must take place, so the simple example of that online help change. And with the Application Compatibility Pack, applications can be tested against the rule set to find areas where the applications will break, and then most importantly, the compatibility problems can be automatically fixed. So as an example, at one customer site, we were able to migrate around 300 applications a day versus their manual process where they were only able to migrate around 5 applications a week. And then they still didn't have the confidence that all the features in the applications would work. So this moved them there much faster. And the important thing to remember is in today's world, these operating systems and migrations of this type, they're not just a one-time event. As mentioned, Windows versions are coming out more quickly. You have Internet Explorer versions, new versions of Office. So these types of changes are happening constantly within the environment. So companies can't really afford to look at the migrations as a one-off event. They really need a way to deliver new technology quickly and cost-effectively to their business. And then the Virtualization Pack. So most organizations, they're all looking at virtualization strategies. whether it be virtualizing specific applications, creating VDI environments, or moving to the cloud. And the bring your own device reality that we live in and focus on user-centric computing are all compounding the need for virtualization. So in addition to moving to Windows versions, IT must now take all of their applications that were historically delivered locally and create formats for virtual deliveries. But some applications are simply just not suitable for virtualization. So for example, WinZip has interaction features that are not good candidates for virtualization. And then other applications require pretty simple changes that can be automated to be virtualized. So with our Virtualization Pack, we really enable companies to leverage their investment in older versions or current versions of applications and then simply convert them to be virtual applications. And the process is to test for the suitability. So is this an application that should be virtualized? Then convert the applications automatically to a virtualization format, such as AppV, Server AppV, ThinApp, and VinApp, and then allow the modifications and report on the state of application readiness. So also I want to point out, in addition, Flexera announced a new virtual desktop assessment solution at MMS, which will enable IT to determine not only what applications should be virtualized with our Virtualization Pack, but who should be virtualized. So if you look across the environment, maybe the help desk personnel are good candidates for application virtualization, whereas developers who are using more heavier applications may not be good candidates for virtualization. Then with Workflow Manager, as all of these applications are being migrated and virtualized and put into the cloud, and all of these things are going on, organizations really need a process or workflow to manage this change across their vast IT resources. So Workflow Manager provides an end-to-end automated workflow from a business owner requesting an application migration or virtualization to the packaging team within IT to eventual delivery. So it manages the chain of custody of where these applications are in their life cycle and what format they're in. And this really enables the business to track the progress of requests, to make sure that they're compliant with their SLAs for how long it takes to get new applications deployed to their end user community. And most importantly, it enables packagers to collaborate with each other so that they're not duplicating work. It can also do things like create work queues, so the process of, or the handoff from development to test to production is all controlled through a best practice workflow. So this is a picture of what AdminStudio looks like. It's fairly sexy, has great reports. There's graphical charts that show all of my applications. There are associated formats to track which applications can be delivered via multiple methods. And these types of reports enable companies to be proactive about migration, so they're not surprised if a user calls after their machine has been upgraded to Windows 7 and says that the application that they need to do their job is broken. They have visibility into all of the applications that are out there, where they are in the queue of being virtualized or migrated, and you avoid all of the problems with surprises, and then IT has complete visibility into their readiness for the inevitable and constant change within their environment. So the value proposition for application readiness and for the AdminStudio solution is very simple. It helps organizations reduce the cost of migration projects or virtualization projects. It helps them save time and manual effort, and it certainly reduces the risk associated with these types of projects. So companies can move to new environments and hit their aggressive project timelines. So a company's Windows Windows project, of course, will only be seen as a success if it causes zero disruption to the business, and AdminStudio is the key to this achievement. The AdminStudio solution typically cuts packaging time by around 70% or so, just to move from base MSI packaging. And the solution integrates with deployment solutions for seamless application delivery. It also takes the guesswork out of moving to virtualization or virtual environments by determining which applications are good candidates for virtualization. And the automation provided with AdminStudio makes packaging a repeatable and reliable process regardless of the technology target, which is important to IT being able to respond to the business faster and to be more nimble as new technologies come along. So I believe Jerry King, are you here, Jerry? I'm not hearing Jerry. Jerry, do you know if, Don, do you know if Jerry could join the audio?
I'm checking it right now. Let me see. I apologize, folks. Jerry is the channel manager for the Americas and APAC for Flexera, and we really wanted him to jump in to talk a little bit about the partner program and what's in it for you. But sometimes with these live events, we run into little technical glitches, and we don't seem to be able to get Jerry on the line to do his part of this. While we're just going to try another minute to get him in, if you do have any questions, please feel free to enter them through the Q&A panel at the bottom of the screen, and we will get to those. Everyone just hold on for another few seconds.
So I really wanted him to be here for the pricing section, but I can cover this. So in terms of who we usually sell to and who buys AdminStudio, AdminStudio is a solution that's needed across all industries. So basically anyone who has software in their environment on any type of scale will have a need for AdminStudio. The alternative to something like AdminStudio in conjunction with something like SCCM is that the company literally has people who walk around with CDs or something and installing software. So in most organizations of any size, they will need a solution like AdminStudio. So it's applicable to all vertical markets. And typically it's the IT or systems managers that would be buying this. So sometimes there's a desktop IT infrastructure manager. Those types of solution or those types of roles would be interested in AdminStudio. Oh, is that you, Jerry?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Oh, wonderful.
You're finally here.
Yes.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. I apologize. I'm happy to be here and happy to pick up where Cindy has been just left off and has been doing a great job of covering. As Don had mentioned before, my name is Jerry King. I'm the Channel Sales Manager for Flexera. I handle all of the Americas and just up until recently Asia Pacific. In essence, I am your point person for all things Flexera through the channel. Moving on in terms of the slides, as Cindy has pointed out, there's a number of buying triggers that will bring your customers to take a closer look at what we're talking about with AdminStudio and what Cindy has been covering here from a factual standpoint. You might sit there and be thinking to yourself as a reseller, well, Jerry, I've got tons and tons of products that I can lead with for solving a number of different solutions all tied into this. What makes AdminStudio so special? Why is it so important? Well, in a nutshell, the best way to answer that question is it's a single solution that solves multiple problems. And I think it's important for me to mention that because as resellers, I totally understand that, you know, the way that you go about meeting your customers' needs defines your business and how it grows. You know, the relationship that you have as a reseller to your customer base should be one as a trusted advisor. You know, your customers look to you for answers that they're faced with on a daily basis. Now, tying all this back into AdminStudio, as I said before, this is a single solution that solves multiple problems. Leading with something like this can put you in such a great light. It's tied into some of the biggest occurrences and compelling events that are tied into the market today. As Cindy was talking about earlier, you know, we're talking about OS migrations, moving to Windows 7, implementing or using virtualization technologies, investing in a better software distribution system, or you know, like moving to SCCM. Don, I'm trying to move on to slide number 16.
I can do that for you.
Okay. So moving on, just to give our audience a better understanding of the level that we're performing at. If you look at the screen, you see very clearly we're engaged and have done quite a bit of work on a number of verticals. This is a solution set that is not limited to any specific vertical. It's applicable to all. We have Comcast, we have New York Life, we have Kindred Healthcare. These are areas and verticals that we're seeing quite a bit of change taking place in the way that they go about managing their applications. And as Cindy has pointed out to you throughout the presentation, the way that an organization goes about managing their applications is critical to their success. If you can move on to slide 17. In this slide, as you look at it, you see sort of a pie broken into a couple different parts here. We're talking about assessing, planning, fixing, and deploying. This is something that I want to use to sort of reiterate to you how unique AdminStudio is within the market and the competitive landscape. Anybody who is looking at doing a Windows 7 migration has to look at this event from the standpoint of, as I've laid out before, assessing, planning, fixing, and deploying. Now, if they want to get through it, they can take a few approaches, but in order to do so, as you can see there, not everybody does it all. You see a Wise Package Studio into deployment arena. You see Microsoft ACT and assessing compatibility, AppDNA, ChangeBase for planning, et cetera, et cetera. But, and Cindy, if you could hit the slide one more time, only AdminStudio does it all from beginning to end. Again, going back to the idea that this is a single solution that solves multiple problems and puts you, the reseller, in a great light with your customer base. Now, if we can move on to the next slide, I can give you an idea of what we're looking at from an investment standpoint. Now, quite simply here, we've laid it out very simple. AdminStudio is available in 3 editions: Standard, Professional, and Enterprise. You can see, as you look at the pricing on there, the differences in terms of investment. And I should point out that all listings here reflect a silver level maintenance, meaning phone support. There are 3 levels of maintenance available for AdminStudio: bronze, silver, and gold. Silver is the most commonplace maintenance plan that's invested. They can certainly go with bronze, but silver and gold are the only ones that include actual phone support. Another thing to understand here is the licensing model. This is offered in 2 different ways. First, the per admin model is typically the single user, single machine model. It's tied into a single person on a single machine tackling their tasks. Whereas per desktop is something that's far more robust, and we're talking about enabling a number of users to utilize the license across their enterprise. Now, this is something that's really ideal for organizations that are starting to bring in outside consultants. So if you stop and think about your customer base and some of your customers that are, say, in the midst of a Windows 7 migration, odds are they're pulling in outside help to help them out with this. If they are inclined to do this, the per desktop model would be the way to go, and typically is slightly more expensive than the per admin model. It typically starts off around $25,000, $26,000 and up, depending on what it is that they want to add on, be it the Virtualization Pack or the Application Compatibility Pack. And we can move on to the next slide. I think it's our final slide here. I want to certainly take the time to thank everybody in attendance for sticking with us through this, and certainly thank Don and Cindy for managing the slide deck and helping us with the presentation. I know that many of you, as you think about your customers, might have some coming to mind already that are looking at big events like Windows 7 migration. Use me as your point of contact. I'm happy to help out. My phone number is right there on the screen. Should you have any questions, pick up the phone, give me a call. I'm happy to jump in the mix.
All right. Well, thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Jerry, for the terrific presentation on AdminStudio. As we wait just a minute to see if any questions come in, I'm going to jump over to my slide deck, and I'm going to talk about our traditional call to action. This is where we invite everybody who's attending today to get further information about AdminStudio. And you can do that. One way is to go to the Flexera website, where you're going to find a great page on AdminStudio that's full of information like product information, white papers, ROI calculators, and even trial downloads. As Jerry just said, he's a great point of contact, not only to speak to about opportunities or about the product itself, but he can also give you any information you need about working more closely with Flexera in their partner program. And then finally, we would invite you to, of course, contact your Lifeboat sales rep. The number is listed there, and through your Lifeboat sales rep, you can schedule a deeper dive demo for the product. We're happy to help you with any opportunity in terms of pricing or any pre-sales assistance that you might need. And so I'm just taking one last look for questions. I'm going to say about that, folks, that should you think of anything later on, feel free to reach out to Jerry, to me, or to your Lifeboat rep. We'll be more than happy to answer anything that should come up at the conclusion of this event. And so with that, let me just say that I hope you found today's presentation valuable. I want you to know that Flexera is a really great company to partner with. They have a superb team. They're ready, they're willing, they're able to help you grow your deals and your business. So I do encourage you to introduce AdminStudio to your customers. Thank you all so much for attending today's presentation. Again, it was a pleasure for Lifeboat Distribution to be a part of today's event, and we hope we will hear from each of you very soon. So with that, for everyone at Lifeboat Distribution and Flexera, thank you and have a great day.